today we have our regular StrikkerZ, and then we have a guest that we are going to be referring to as Van today.
I
Yeah, and man, I did not actually think of an introduction for this segment yet. Anyways, we're just going to be rereading One Piece.
Yep.
Today we're going over the Baratie arc and the Arlong Park arc, which, if I'm correct, those are chapters 69 to 95.
Uh
So
yeah,
for
Arlong, yeah.
anyone who
Arlong is the 69 to 95 portion. Yep.
yeah, wait, just Arlong is
Well, the Baratie starts at 42.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
okay. Chapters 42 to 95. Sorry, I had my notes divvied up between the two. I didn't even realize. So for anyone who wants to follow along, that's 42 to 95 for you.
I mean,
Anyways,
I don't
I'm
know if this
guessing that
necessarily.
Van, you did not read for today since it was such a last minute addition.
I mean, for the most part, I didn't really read too much of it. I skimmed over kind of what it is, but I don't know. I've had it on their mind recently because I've been watching other videos talking about early One Piece. So,
Oh wait,
and
did you see do you know who Kato is?
Qatar, no.
Oh,
What
they
what
literally
was
just put a
this?
video out the other day about early One Piece. I'm gonna link that in the description. It's a really good video.
Since we mentioned it.
Yeah. Uh, anyways, real quick, I guess we'll get your opinion before we actually start. How'd you like the reading, Striker?
So actually, at the beginning of the barista arc. So
about a year ago, I watched the first.
wait, what the? Oh, whoops. Yeah. So it was kind of zany, and like I thought, okay, this is kind of like what One Piece is known for. You know, you got the I forget what the guy's name is. Patty, I think, it was the guy that Sanjay referred to as crap cooker. You know, he's like
Yeah.
he's beating up. He's beating up. What is it? Lockhand or something? The blonde, snotty.
Oh, Lieutenant Fullbody?
Yeah, full body. Yeah, okay, that's what it was. Yeah, they're beating up on him. There's zany antics. I think Luffy broke something, and they said like you got to be the custodian for a year, the chore boy or something. Yeah, chore boy. For a year. You know, they're just running around. It's all funny, and then Geen shows up, and Cooker starts beating him up because he can't pay. He's a paying customer, and so okay, obviously Crop Cooker's being evil makes you stupid. He was sucking up to full body, and he's beating on this guy. I thought, oh, poor Geen, he's just an innocent pirate. He just wants right. Was I sort of mistaken about that? So that was what do you call it? That was pretty zany, pretty wacky. And then they feed Geen, right? And then Geen goes back and he gets his captain, who was like Krieg, right? Yeah. So Krieg was kind of interesting, I guess. He shows up and he's like the coward, right? He attacks the flag, he does all this trickery and stuff, but he shows up to their front gate and he's what do you call it? He's like, oh, please, I'll spare you guys, just give me some food. I'm really hungry. And Crop Cooker is still like, trying to bully him. And he's like, no, we don't feed his kind, we aren't gonna feed him, And then the guy's like, I'm a paying customer, they still not feeding him. I'm like, oh wow, I was like, I thought Crop Cooker was like, if you have money, you're paying customer and I'll value you. But no, it just seemed like he was a jerk. And of course, I think this was after they told us again that this Krieg guy was a bad guy who attacks under false truth. And then Sanji still feeds him anyway. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So he feeds him, and then Krieg all of a sudden says, oh, thanks, man, and now we're gonna gank your ship. And then I was like, oh, maybe Crop Cooker actually had a point here, about not. So, yeah.
Nice. That's the introduction, at least. So I get.
Yeah.
So how would you rate that part?
Since it was the early part, I actually it was all right. I mean, like I'd say it got better after like Krieg showed his true colors, and then like that flashback with Sanji and the cook. I'll get to that or was it Red Shoes Zeph or something? Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. So
Right.
yeah, it was all right. It was all right. Like it was definitely what I pictured when I imagine One Piece is zany antics, not too serious. I know One Piece is renowned for its flashbacks, and again when we get to Arlong Park, we'll talk about that too. So, but that's what I picture when I imagine One Piece. Zany, sort of lighthearted stuff.
Mm.
Again, I know they can get really dark sometimes. So just first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
They
I'm sorry, you can go.
Oh yeah, okay. So after that, Creed shows up. They start fighting, and of course, the crew of the cooking the chef ship, they didn't know how to fight because they're dealing with pirates. And their captain is Captain Zeph. They had Pearl who showed up who could catch on fire. He was one of Krieg's men. I'm guessing that was like one of those early installment weirdness type things where like maybe the author didn't fully know what's the author's name again.
Oda.
Oda?
Yeah, okay, I thought so. Like, maybe he didn't fully decide how like the fighting system should work. Because, well, actually, Sanjay has Diablo Jambe, and his feet can catch on fire, right? So I guess.
Wait, so what? Wait, so hold on. Now you're talking
Yeah,
actual
go
power
back.
scaling. So wait, what did you not think was?
I just thought it was interesting that Pearl could catch on fire randomly. Because the first is like,
Oh, that.
yeah, because I know Ace is the fire devil for users. Like, what the? I was like, oh, he caught on fire. And I was like, oh, all right, I guess it's just like.
It's probably
I
like
would say
some
at this
heavy
point in
friction
the
stuff,
series,
yeah.
like in the current Predator story, in the current point in the series, it is having fire is basically just almost just something anyone can do if they want to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's more like you light a match, or maybe his stuff was extra flammable or something like that.
Yeah,
It
I did
looks
try to
like
look up if pearls are combustible, but I kept getting like stuff for pearl necklaces.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's a play on the coal idea. You know how like oh wait, that makes diamonds. Never mind.
yeah, I don't know.
Mixing things up.
Yeah. So I just thought that was funny at first, and then I realized, oh wait, I mean, like Sanji can catch his feet on fire, so I mean, like, I guess it's not that feet on fire, body fire. So I think
Well, I
Sanji
mean,
actually
We're not supposed to
was
know that yet. Okay, Striker,
Yeah.
let's calm it down.
So,
let's slow the spoiler train.
spoilers, yeah. So the point is, yeah. So Sanji just kicked the ever-loving tar out of the guy, and I think he sent him overboard. And then the next twist was, what's his name? Krieg. Yeah. So Krieg and Luffy start fighting, and then Gin, it turns out, he's at first he was like, oh, Krieg, you back the pirates, or the cooking crew, they saved our life, right? And then Krieg's like, we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna take the ship so we can hide in there and those people. And then Gin starts to hold Zeph, captive.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think was it Krieg? Yeah. So Krieg or Pearl, they start beating up Sanji, and like Luffy's like, dude, why aren't you fighting back? He's gonna kill Zeph if I fight back. And then we have the flashback where. So this is something. Okay, so I'm not gonna say anything spoilerific here, but so getting into the flashback. So Sanji is part of another cooking crew beforehand, right? So I don't know if that was like he was a part of the Navy.
All right.
It was just like some random cooking ship.
Okay, yeah.
Almost like a cruise ship.
A cruise ship, a cooking ship. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. And then, Zeph and his crew, they show up and they start robbing them, right? And so Zeph was already also a cooking pirate by this point, right? Like, that's why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Red Shoes Zeph. And so I guess he wasn't planning on killing any of them, right? Like,
It's red. By the way, it's red legs left, like black
Red
legs
legs.
Sanji.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I guess he wasn't planning on killing any of them, but then Sanji, he's like, if I'm gonna die, he thinks they're gonna kill him. I guess like they just wanted the money. So he's like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna go down fighting. He pulls up the sword, and Red Leg Zeph kicks him around a little bit, and then the maelstrom starts or whatever, like the storm that happens, and Zeph saves Sanji, and then both the cooking crew and the pirate cooks, their ships go down and they land on the island. And then there's the scene where Zeph was like, oh, this is my share of the food, that's your share of the food. We'll go off on separate parts of the island. Come and get me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sanji, he has no food for 5 days, and I think he even saw a ship and he tried to signal him on his own, but they just drove off, or I guess, drove off because he didn't get Zeph. He's done eating the food. He goes to try and take more of Zeph's food. When he finds that there's no food, it's just treasure. That they came for there. Zeph ate his leg. I mean, I know I saw the scene where he like tapped his leg with a rock or something, but like just the realization that Sanji had, where like the guy was cannibalizing his own leg. Like, oh man, that's dark. And then after that, I guess Sanji and him, they made it back to safety, and then they opened up another cooking crew, and they guys cooker and the other two jokers, and they had their little crew. But like I guess the thing to touch on real quick is they did mention that the East Blue was the weakest of all the blues, right? The blues.
Yeah.
I believe Mihawk mentions that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a second. That's right. I almost forgot about him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering because you kind of jumped right over.
That fight's important, so like you can save it till after you get through your
Yeah.
little how you feel about it.
That fight's
Ah,
technically
yeah.
more relevant than Don Krieg, so
Yeah.
Yeah. So then and then Don Krieg, I guess also they mentioned that Don Krieg fled from the Grand Line, and then they talked about the All Blue. So the entire One Piece world is split up into 4 oceans, like
yeah.
right.
So the map is kind of funky. Maybe Opa, do you want to talk about it, or you want me to?
You could talk about it.
Right. So essentially, right. You're right on the mark when it comes to the 4 oceans. So where normally we would have an equator, that's kind of what the Grand Line is supposed to be. Sort of. It's like it essentially bisects one of it circles around, I guess, using what's it do longitude, I guess. Longitude wise, you have like two. Imagine there were two equators. I guess a prime meridian and the equator. So you would have like the equator would be sort of like the Grand Line. The prime meridian would be the red wall for the separating the New World and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much that's how it works. And all blues kind of in like the intersection between those two things, and all the oceans kind of flow into it. So yeah, that's kind of how that goes.
So is the All Blue the Grand Line then?
No.
It's on the edge of it, so not technically, but
Yeah.
Okay.
Because one of the things is like this is something we viewed. I think it's talked about in the next chunk of chapters we're gonna read, but essentially around on either side of the Grand Line, there was the Calm Belt, which are these two stretches of sea that are run parallel to the Grand Line, but are much thinner, and they're just breeding grounds for sea kings. And there's absolutely no
no
the
wind,
water
no
doesn't move
current.
there; it's completely still.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the
Yeah,
Navy
so like
steamboats?
water from the other oceans doesn't actually get in through there.
Yeah, to get through it, you do need a paddle boat. You're right on the mark there, Striker.
Okay, so they do have. So yeah, so then back to the Don Krieg fight. Yeah, so they what do you go? So then Don Krieg shows off his armor, his spears, and then like Luffy and Sanji they beat him after. Oh, poor Gin. Gin was actually kind of cool. So he stopped holding Zeth hostage and actually fought Sanji, or tried to fight him, and then he said he can't do it. So then Don Krieg fired the poison ball, and then Gin gave the mask to Luffy and Sanji, and then he got poisoned himself. So Gin was actually kind of cool. Like I'll give him props for that.
Mm.
But and then so they beat Don Krieg. But now on to the actual the big thing. So the reason Don Krieg fled the Grand Line is because when he
Slow down. You're breaking up a little bit.
Sorry, I got excited. Yeah. So Dracula Meathawk, this great swordsman, basically chased Don Krieg out of the Grand Line, right? Like he scuppered their ships and like they had to flee, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Zep was like, oh, you might have woken him up for a nap. And then I think Gin got insulted. He's like, yo, those are my comrades that got killed. He's like, I wasn't joking. That's just the kind of place the Grand Line is. And while they're all fighting, the cooking pirates and the Krieg's pirates, this little like raft-like thing shows up. And he is Mihawk. And it's just like, he's actually here. And, everyone's like, oh my God, why are you chasing after us? And I think Mihawk just said for fun, right? Like he just said,
he said he was
Yep.
bored, depending on what your translation is.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh wow, he's just bullying these little, Don Krieg's a scumbag.
Speaking on the bullying idea, 1 second, Opa, like, do you think the Navy actually sent Mihawk to do that?
No, not at all. I think he was probably just like
He really was just bored. Okay.
yeah, but he probably was just like chilling and then saw them and was like just took them out for the fun of it.
Okay, because well, all right. I'll save something in my analysis for after Striker gets done, sort of gushing. But
Okay, but yeah, it's like yeah, you can continue, Striker.
Okay, yeah. So he shows up, and then Sanji, because Mihawk's the greatest swordsman, and Sanji wants to be the greatest swordsman. So he shows up, and then
Zoro.
Zoro. I'm so sorry. Yeah,
Sanji the swordsman. I mean, it actually would fit. It actually would fit a little bit.
The alliteration. Yeah, so Mihawk gives the classic line where he's like, I'm not a beast, I don't use a cannon to hunt a rabbit, and he pulls out the tiny little, a scalpel knife, and he fights. He stabs him, and then Zoro's like, I'm not going to back up because backing up is defeat. Death is better than defeat. Then And Mihawk's like, I acknowledge you. And he pulls out the big sword and he just like he cuts down Zoro. But Zoro does use his Tiger Hunter move. Is that his ultimate technique or is that the other?
Oh,
No,
the
no, no, no.
3,000
Yeah,
words technique are you
3,000
talking
worlds.
about?
Something's
Yeah, that one.
But
That is his ultimate technique at that point.
Yeah, the Tiger Claw thing is what. That was the attack where Mihawk stabbed him.
With the tiny. Okay.
Yeah, because first he started with the Onigiri, the Demon Slash, and me. By the way, the way Mihawk counters that, I always found to be very strange looking because he uses the tip of his knife and puts it on the tip of Zoro's swords, which is like that's not how you block something. like oh my god, that part of it just felt is just like Mihawk like. Yeah, this is just like risky to do it like that. Just block it normally. But,
I mean, in all fairness, knowing what we know now, I'm not even sure Zoro would have been able to cut Mihawk anyways.
Yeah.
If he were to try to stab him.
Yeah, in all honesty, yeah. Even if those swords didn't make contact, it probably wouldn't have mattered. But still.
You guys talking about like hockey and whatnot, or like?
Yeah.
Sorta. Yeah. There's some other stuff, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then Mihawk beats him, and then he tells Zoro to challenge when he's stronger. Then I guess Mihawk just left after that. Right? Like I guess he had his fun and he left. Right?
Yeah, he left. Well, for the most part, he left. He'll be back.
Yeah. And then, going back to Don Krieg in the fight, they defeat him, and they're all getting patched up. And during all the commotion, Nami earlier I guess saw a wanted poster from those two. Oh yeah, the two bounty hunters. They were friends with Zoro. Were they from his? Or did he know them prior, or were they just bounty hunters that just worked the same line?
Can you repeat that question?
The two bounty hunters, like they called Zoro brother. I don't know
Johnny and
Yosaku.
Yosaku. Yeah. I know they're not his actual brothers, but like, did they come from like the same sword school or something, or did they like work together?
Oh, they just I don't know if you saw it. They actually did have a small panel explaining it. When Zoro was fighting Mihawk, I believe. Essentially, they just saw him fighting someone. They were like, "Yeah, like we should work together. Let's follow you." So yeah, they just know Zoro from his bounty hunting days.
They're just people he ran into at one point.
Yeah.
So while they're fighting Don Krieg, actually, yeah, that's right. So Mihawk left, and then Zoro and Usopp, before the fight with Don Krieg was finished, actually, they took the two bounty hunters and they took a ship to follow Nami because Nami saw a bounty for. I think we just saw his long nose. The wanted was the Arlong, the famous Pinocchio needle nose. So yeah, so she goes off the money that the Straw Hats accumulated and their ship, no less, and Usopp they go off to chase after her. So now Luffy and Sanji they're getting rested, they're eating, and then Red Zest crew insulting Sanji's cooking. Like they're really good at it, and I guess it's one of those things. If you love somebody, they drove him off and spread his wings and whatnot and joined Luffy's pirate crew. So,
True. All right, and that's.
They tried to fight.
No, that's it. Yeah, you're good. Oh wait.
They tried to fight Sanji, and then he beat them up. I quite remember that as well. I think there were like pirates that joined the cooking crew, and like they were beaten into submission by Zeph, and then they joined, but like, yeah, Sanji, you got this coming, and then like a panel later, like just all beaten and bruised, and Sanji's like, oh, yeah, I don't even know why they did that. So
you gotta assert dominance as you leave.
Yeah, so that's Marita Restart. I can't even pronounce it. Yeah, so that was good. Honestly, I think the next arc is way better than this one. No offense to it. I mean, like,
I mean, I would personally agree with that.
Yeah. There's definitely an escalation going on between the arcs. Yeah. I guess this one and Arlong and the next one, I don't know about that, but just a couple of some things to touch on, I guess, in the Barista arc. First off, Oppa, did you see the Shokugeki no Sanji thing? That
I did read that at one point. It was a while ago. I barely remember anything except for Sanji, I think, handing Zoro his swords for something. I mean, Zoro handing Sanji his swords for something.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if he does that because I just reread it before we came on, and it was just like it's essentially like a little side story that's supposed to take place right before they get there. So, by the way, just so you know, Striker, it's illustrated, and I don't know if it's written, but I know it's definitely illustrated by the guy who did Food Wars. That's was a Shokugeki no Sama. I think that's
Oh, are you Shokugeki no Sanji?
yeah. So Shokugeki no Sanji is like it's illustrated by the guy who did Food Wars, and because when I was trying to catch up before on One Piece, I was just so taken aback by how the art style suddenly shifted like radically. But yeah. So essentially speaking, it's like a little side story where this food critic comes, think like a Gordon Ramsay type, except she's really fat and yeah. Anyway, she comes and she like orders everything on the menu and just sort of says it's all bad or whatever. And yeah, so Sanji goes out of his way to like make her a dish and say like, yeah, if the dish I make satisfies you, then like you have to eat everything else on this table or whatnot. And it's just like it's a cute little side story, I guess, showing some stuff with Sanji, making some connections to Food Wars. Because Food Wars is a different one. It's a different type of shonen, I guess. But what was kind of interesting about it is that like it ends with the Straw Hats. Like they see the Straw Hats logo in the distance, which is kind of
Mm-hmm.
interesting because like if you remember how like I guess this actual arc starts, like they just bomb, they immediately shoot, they blow a hole in the top of the bar and the top of the restaurant whenever they are at that distance. So it's like so I guess a little incident happened right before they got there, and I don't know. That in itself was kind of funny. Um, yeah, there's like a bunch of just little trivia stuff. Like,
I was gonna ask, do either
yeah.
of you know about the Boichi redrawing of like Zoro versus Mihawk?
There's a redrawing of it. No.
Yeah, he basically just redoes the entire scene in his art style. He is the person who created Dr. Stone, I believe he drew for Dr. Stone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it looks pretty dope, I will say. I think I prefer the original. I think I prefer Oda's current art style to that, but
Mm-hmm.
it was definitely interesting to see it in that art style.
Yeah, I suppose. Oda's current art style feels a little bit more refined. It's interesting because out of like I don't know compared to like Kishimoto, I guess because I'm more of a Naruto head for anyone listening. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, compared to like Kishimoto, Oda actually gets better over time as opposed to how Kishimoto just kind of got very, very lazy. Because I guess his hand was hurting from too much drawing, but still, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just like Boichi has such a very different art style from the
Hmm.
tone of One Piece. Like the art style for One Piece works very well with the kind of story One Piece is, you know?
Yeah. By the way, did you know that Sanji's original name was going to be Naruto?
I do know that.
Yeah, the little gag, because the swirl is the same as the Uzumaki symbol. That's funny.
hmm
Yeah.
And then he was
Which
just like, well, then Naruto came out, so I changed it.
Yeah. So like it's interesting because like I think there's actually a lot of pun names going on through this arc because Gin for example means silver, and like
hmm
and you have like Don Krieg which is gold, and you have Pearl which is we have seem to have like a little jewel elemental type of thing going on.
I see. I didn't know Don Krieg meant purr. I knew what Gin was, and I knew
Well,
that
I
purr was like, kind of that
yeah.
thing. But
I think well I don't know if Don Krieg means gold, but I do know he has a very gold aesthetic. I guess that's more clear in the anime.
well, that's also fair.
Yeah. All the same though, that's pretty cool. By the way, Striker, so what was your opinion of Sanji in general?
So, okay, I remember when he first showed up and he was like swooning over Nami, and I'm like, there's the Sanji that we all know and love. Cool design.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. We, so, yeah. Although, I will say, like, right now, personality wise, except for him swooning over Nami, really, he has Zoro similar personalities. I don't know if that changes later on, but, like, I almost assume that was probably partially why, like, Zoro and Sanji did side by side, per se, because, like, Zoro went from the left, Sanji stayed behind. So, but that's
Oh
just,
wait, can you slow down? You're kind of going in and out for me.
sorry. I said that Sanji and Zoro right now they have kind of similar personalities. I think maybe they'll be more divergent like as the story progresses, and I think even later on. But like right now they seem kind of similar. Like they're kind of stern, sort of like a little bit not quite hot headed, but like that shonen sort of gumption they have there.
Yeah, they both have some of the you know the sort of calm badass attitude going on for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because looking at just the way these guys interact with each other for this particular set of chapters, like it's funny to see Sanji interact because like what he does, like I guess it's kind of just the general aesthetic with the Straw Hat crew of just because they all have like a specific sort of joking mode they go into whenever they're with each other and not and impeding Doom, but it was just kind of interesting to see Sanji actually talk to like Usopp and Luffy for like the first time, and like his interaction with Nami is always the same, but like in that first time where he's actually talking with the rest of the gang, he doesn't even talk to Zoro. And like I was like so taken aback by the fact he didn't call this man like what is it, like Marimo, or like the what is it?
No, it's Marimo, Ma said.
Yeah, Ma said. It's just like because he just didn't say that to him at all. I'm like, wow, okay, this is actually just a very different interaction. They're just kind of being chill. Like, oh man, that was pretty interesting. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting set of chapters for the most part. I will say, I don't know, something about the way that this all goes is kind of weird to me because Oda like does like a slight transition here. Okay, so slight tangent, I guess, into something different is that One Piece comparatively to like the big three, which are Naruto and Bleach, the One Piece has, I guess, not even comparison to those guys, just comparison of shonen in general. Like all the all the shonen start off with like the sort of filler-esque arc where they're introducing everybody.
Mm, I mean, kinda, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a bit of a point to this. With Bleach, it would be like the Katakura Town stuff. If anybody knows Bleach, Naruto, it's when the Genin exam and stuff like that. And for One Piece, it's kind of most of these blue technically, because like the Grand Line is a different
Oh,
thing.
yeah, no,
Technically,
me and Striker talked about how the first 100 episodes are just a epilogue. I mean, a
hmm
prologue.
yeah. So like it's because like these blue would technically be considered like a little bit of a prologue to the rest of One Piece. But I don't know. I would say like in general, One Piece comparatively to a lot of other shonens, it just does this section a lot better because like at least for the because like for one thing, you have excitement happening here. Where like we're mentioning that like Baratie is not exactly as hype as the next arc we're gonna get into, but all the same, it's still like you have this massive transition happening where Zoro's fighting Mihawk, and it almost feels like we would transition into a different manga entirely with how much more darker this gets. And then you have like just everything going wild, where like Nami steals the boat, and like this stuff is going left, right, everything's going crazy off the bat, and we're not even like really into the meat and potatoes of the story yet. And just like I don't know, just the fact that we can actually keep some degree of I don't know anything relevancy, because like all this stuff is also very relevant for later whenever we get to later, but it's just I don't know. Oda did this pretty well, just comparison to like because I don't know I've watched a lot of shonen who botch this section of their story most of the time in order to introduce their characters. But yeah, so kudos to him for all this stuff. I mean, One Piece is pretty good, I guess.
No, I'll take that compliment for sure. For Oda,
Yeah, take it for Oda. Send it off in like one of the fan letters.
one of these days, I think I might actually write a fan letter to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope if it ended up in the SBS. Oh, speaking of which, I did send you the information for my Viz account. Did you use that to read this, Striker?
So I logged in, and okay. So do you have to like pay for each volume to read it digitally? Because like I tried to click read, and then like it took me to the first few volumes. I was like, okay, so probably on like volume 4, and it said like use like
Oh, did you switch? Did you go over the chapters?
oh, you know what? I did not do that.
Oh, well, you see, the volume section, yes, you do have to buy the actual volumes. If you go over to the chapter section, I have a premium account, so I can read all the chapters.
Cool.
And after this, show me how to do that actually, because I didn't go back to the bootleg version I was using last time. So.
It's cool. I just want to tell you something. Did you see any of the cover stories?
Yeah, essentially, I saw Captain Morgan being manhandled by Garp. Okay, so
Well,
like Captain Morgan's extradition, right? Like he got handed over to I'm right, Dog Man, okay, because I technically don't know
Dog man. Yeah.
he had the dog hat, right? And Helmeppo was crying, and then like the next one was Captain Morgan gets the drop on Garp. Like he uppercuts Garp or something, and then like the one after that is like Morgan takes Helmeppo. He's on the boat, and Helmeppo's crying, and they're trying to flee. That's the last one I remember. I don't know if that's the most recent one, but not. But that's the most recent one I remember. So
okay. And then did you see the buggy one?
Buggy. What happened in that one?
Wasn't it with him and like the
Buggy
dude in
got
the box?
his body back and his
Oh,
crew
yeah.
back, and has met up with a mysterious lady.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think I saw that one.
Oh, well, when you get
It's
the chance,
relevant
look into it.
information,
It
yes.
happens around the beginning of Baratie.
Mhm.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so did Captain Morgan get like turned in by his Marine cohorts, like the ones that were back in the Shells town? They like turned him over, like, oh yeah, he's
Yeah, they threw him in prison.
okay, and then they handed him over to
Yeah, they were handing him over to Garp.
he broke out. So does Helmeppo not want to be with his dad anymore, or was he like crying because it's like fight or something? I assume Morgan gets captured in the end as well. So like,
you see throughout the rest of the cover story. That's the best way I could put that.
I'll make sure to keep looking into that. So yeah.
Oh wait. Anyways, to kind of bring it back to the Baratie, though, I will say, rereading it again, there were just a lot of funny moments for me. Like when Luffy refused Sanji's refusal.
Yeah. He's like, it sounds like I refuse, and then Luffy's like, I refuse. Like, what are you refusing? He's like, your refusal.
Yeah, and then also like I thought it was really funny when Mihawk showed up and like he was doing all that bravado stuff against Zoro, and he was like, "I'm sorry, this is the smallest this is the smallest knife I have."
Yeah.
Respect, just
the disrespect there was huge. Oh man. Then also like when Don Krieg was like, who's more better fit to be Pirate King, you or me? And Luffy's just like unabashedly saying me. I thought that was great. That was typical Luffy right there.
Yep.
But also like I don't know, it gave me some going over Sanji's character again. It just really let me reappreciate some of the stuff that's been laid down there, like just the integrity. And then I also kind of realized that like he's kind of like a huge hypocrite
Don Krieg.
at the beginning of the series,
Luffy.
because like he's telling like Luffy and Zoro to just like, oh, just give up your ambitions and everything, and it's like really easy. But like at the same time, he's more than willing to risk his life for Zeph, and it's like that doesn't make any more sense than what they're doing does,
well, okay. Technically, I think
it's the same kind of resolve, just put to a different thing.
Well, I think it's a little bit different than that because Sanji's resolve or his goal was to find the All Blue, right? And he sort of gave up on that desire to stick around and help Zeph out because he feels indebted to him. So technically, he threw away his ambition to help Zeph. But you have a point there that it's the same resolve. But I think that's probably more.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was trying. Yeah, it's like the same resolve. Technically, yeah, it's a different ambition, but it's just the same mindset. And then also, like, I don't know, I love reading the Zoro versus Mihawk fight, and like sometimes like you see stuff online, and it's really annoying how some people choose to interpret the story, I guess, because like they'll see that and they'll think that Zoro was like trying to die, per se, or like
Did he like have a
they
death
don't
wish?
fully understand the idea of like
Why would you fight a level 100 boss when you're like level 9?
like they don't understand the idea of like if I back up, like from Zoro's perspective, if he takes a footstep or like a step back that's already saying to himself like, I can't do this. And
Oh,
they don't
that.
seem to understand like that's what that scene's kind of getting at, and so instead they'll say something like Zoro would actually rather die than lose, and the idea of like that, but it's like death isn't defeat here, you know, in
Yeah,
the
so
sense of like him giving up on his dream. I
yeah,
don't think
Yeah.
I explained that well, but like what
I think to a
it's
certain
cool.
degree, it's reminiscent of because I watched you guys' podcast from the last time you did this, and I think as you mentioned before that like in One Piece it's sort of like losing your idea, losing your way is kind of worse than death. That's why Luffy doesn't kill
Yeah,
anyone, because like when he makes them just sort of have to abandon their ambition, which is kind of like more brutal if you think about it. I mean, Luffy's doing something worse than death to everybody's beating, but anyways.
well, like a lot of shonen TV shows do that. I don't know if you guys remember the Shadow for Kids. I mean, it's worth that. When Dragon Ball
Well,
Z had
sort of.
people
That's
sent to another dimension instead of being killed by ki blasts, I guess technically they're sent to another dimension, the afterlife, but
mhm.
well, or they were paralyzed and they couldn't move when they got hit by ki blasts. I don't know. Just weird stuff they did to avoid having people be killed.
Yeah,
Censorship.
and for censorship reasons. But for one, this isn't really censorship. But
No, I know, yeah.
maybe to a degree, it might be censorship considering how few people die in the story.
yeah.
But
Well, I forget. I think I heard that Oda just doesn't generally like writing death scenes.
yeah, so he likes the hyper violence, but not the problems that come with it.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I kind of really liked the arc a lot. Like, I kind of looked at both Sanji and Gin as parallels of one another since they're both so
Mhm.
loyal.
Yep.
And it's like they just chose to be loyal to the wrong people, essentially. Because, like, they're both more than willing to give away their life. And then Gin really is cool. It's a shame, that
Yeah.
he went ahead and got himself poisoned. But, like, he really was, like, he had more to him. He had a bit more honor to him than Don Krieg. He was worth more than Don Krieg. Funny idea. Who do you think would win in a fight? Don Krieg with no armor or Gin?
No armor.
Uh, Probably Don Krieg. I would have to say still. Depending. Wait, are you
Okay.
giving Geen his weapons?
I'm giving Gin his weapons.
Okay, yes, and Geen.
Yeah, what they call him, the Demon Bean or something? Like, he's like,
Yeah.
follows
It's
his
Yeah.
kind of
orders with
funny.
blood.
What's kind of funny about Gein's introduction though is that like when he pops into like the yes, was it full he's on full body ship, then he breaks out and like he walks into the Baratie, the restaurant, and just sort of like says, "Alright guys, bring me some food or whatever, I'm starving." And I'm just like, why don't you just go to one of the other tables and grab some food if you're that hungry?
You
Or
know
go into the
what? That's a
kitchen just
great point.
yeah, like why are you waiting to be served, bro? You don't like I when I go to a restaurant, if I'm starving, I don't have patience to wait to be served. Like, you're a pirate at this point, so
What
yeah,
if the staff were like pirate folks and they would shoot you if you try to steal their food?
bro. Wait, Striker,
Oh wait,
you do remember he shot some the Geen shot someone to come into the restaurant.
he
Like,
did.
like yeah, I will say this much: it is interesting that Gein's personality takes a very strange shift after his first introduction scene because he's very he goes from being like very very ruthless to being a lot more compassionate like pretty quickly. But
Well, I think it's just that kindness Sanji served him.
yeah, I
Just
guess
warms the insides up a bit, makes it all gooey.
yeah. I guess is that I guess it's a man starving to death who's being sort of harassed by a full body and the other Marines. They finally get some
On the
kindness in
other,
his life.
on the other hand, though, you guys, what you said did remind me. In the anime, when like all the chefs are like, kind of like pointing their weapons at Sanji, what they have are big forks and knives and like a spoon.
Is that they have 4 kids? Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, not even in 4 Kids.
Really?
Just
Oh,
in the anime in general.
like the Viz update still has that?
No, well, you like Funimation has it, the
Funimation,
sub
okay.
has it,
Okay.
4 Kids definitely has it,
Yeah.
and it's
definitely.
just like I've read the manga before, but I completely forgot that they used guns. So then when I saw guns, I was like, oh, these guys weren't playing.
Wait, all the chefs are packing heat? What? Like, what?
It's just like, cause like before that, like in my mind, when I think of the Baratie chefs, I think of kitchen like silverware as weapons and everything. I don't ever think of actual guns and weapons and stuff. And it's like, yeah, they were all ready.
Yeah, I will say when I saw when I was skimming through this section before, I did think the Baratier the chefs actually looked a lot cooler than they did in my memory. So that might have been the anime method playing tricks on me there.
So on
Oh,
using guns, do they also? So Sanji doesn't use his hands because his hands are for cooking, right? And I think that's the same thing for Zeph, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
supposed to use like their cooking utensils as weapons either, because one of the guys had like a knife with, like I think it was not Geen, but like one of the Don Creek pirates was like body, and then like he peeled out the knife, and then Sanji beat him up. And the chef, hold on to that knife until you die or something like that. That's a cooking tool, not a thing like. So like if them using utensils as weapons in the anime, is that like sort of contradicting their sort of morality, or is that just apply to like Zeph and Sanji?
Well,
Oh,
for
they
one,
just had gigantic like they had gigantic knives that no
Yeah.
one would actually use for cooking.
Yeah. It's like it's sort of like just a comical, yeah, we're chefs, so we're gonna use instead of using a sword, we're just gonna use a very, very big knife.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's
it's
what
not
that was more about. I did want to ask you though, Striker, how did you like Zoro's oath to Luffy?
Hang on, so that was I will never lose a fight again, right? That's the
right.
Yeah.
yeah. That's cool. I mean, like, I get it's like a whole big, he's not going to lose again. He's going to always stand firm, and I know that comes into play later with, you know, what's the pain for? I mean, I should talk about the stuff that happens in the future with Kuma, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah. So, I mean, that was a cool moment, but I mean, like, yeah.
Well, that's not really. I don't know. Even in the future, that's not really Zoro's fight to lose. But speaking of Zoro, though, for a sec, do you ever feel like Zoro kind of has like a? You ever feel like he just has like a separate sort of side story going on alongside the main plot?
Like, what do you
Yes.
mean?
Like it just because like for one, I mentioned before that like there was like with Mihawk there was like a massive tone shift whenever like Zoro and Mihawk started dueling for one thing. But just like because like I mean because in general I think you guys mentioned before like Zoro is just kind of darker than like most of the other Straw Hats or like and he's much darker than Luffy and I would not really I don't know darker is a weird way to put him in comparison to Nami but just like he just seems a lot more serious in comparison to the other guys there and like the
More
fact that
grim.
yeah, he's more grim. Even like when he's fighting specifically, Luffy tends to try to keep everyone out of it to do the one-on-one matches type of stuff. It's just
Yeah.
like it just feels like we're sort of isolated. Like it feels like you have One Piece go on doing its own thing, and then you
Oh.
isolate Zoro. Where it's almost like we
Well,
just transition over into Bleach for 1 second. But
the reason for that is like me and Striker were talking about this before, and I was actually
Mhm.
talking about this with him in reference to this before we actually read this. But
Mhm.
it's like out of all the Straw Hats, Zoro's the one whose dream is focused on like being like the strongest. For him, like he needs to have those one-on-one fights for that title to have any legitimacy. It's like an honor thing, a pride thing, and just like so his are completely all of his fights against another swordsman are one step closer to his dream. So he can't have any help. Like if Sanji got help in a fight, I don't think he'd really care as much as if someone tried to help Zoro in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but there's just like even outside of it just being one-on-one, it just feels like the tone of the fights. Like I don't know, compare like not just in power, but compare like Dawn Krieg or Geen to Mihawk, for example, in terms of just like, or even like Dawn Krieg or Pearl. Compare those two to like Mihawk in terms of just like the atmosphere that they give off. Like there's just one of them is way more foreboding, and I get that Mihawk's much stronger than them, but like even when you see the later Shibukai, like Mihawk still has a much more foreboding, yeah, like Dracula, vampiric almost
Yeah.
mindset compared to even people who should be on his same tier level.
Dracula.
Well, I
Dracula
mean, in all
Mihawk.
fairness, I don't think any of the other warlords really compare to him in terms of strength.
Well, all right. Just to stave off some spoilers. I mean, just compared to other people who are similar to him, like okay, slight spoiler, I guess. But have we gotten to the Shank stuff yet?
Yeah, I mean,
But
we
okay,
already talked about how Shanks is the
Okay, that's
Yonko.
fine.
yeah,
But like, because like I mean, if you compare Shanks to Mihawk, for example, Shanks is a lot more warm most of the time, like
Uh
than Mihawk. Like it's just because Mihawk is like constant, just
huh.
dapper,
Okay, I get
very
what you're
serious,
saying.
and then like I don't know, because like I don't- Jesus, I don't want to spoil because I'm trying to talk about Zoro's later fights, but
Well, no,
just
I get it.
uh,
Mihawk is like this deadly serious person, and then like you
yeah,
have other people like Shanks or Luffy who are both like
kind of
very,
jokers.
very lighthearted and everything.
Yeah, and even like just as you go through further arcs, I think the people that Zoro is slated to face generally are more serious minded than like than like the other ones
But you
around them.
do have a certain someone during a certain arc who likes to become cubes.
H
Eh,
cubes.
maybe
You know, hang
okay.
on. The
And
point here
then
is that
you
there's a tone.
also have Pika down the line.
Ika. You know, all right,
To
we'll
a
get.
certain degree, yeah.
But
To a certain degree, I can see some of that.
yeah. But
Yeah.
basically, what you're trying to say is that there's like a tone shift.
Well,
There's a
okay,
different tone.
with the cube thing, all right, man. Like that, okay, his partners are kind of everyone's there. He's kind of the odd man out a little bit there with some of that. Just in terms of, actually, no, never mind, never mind. That those guys are kind of those guys are their own thing. Anyways, back to this. All right, so is that everything I want to say on Baratie? Do you have any other points to really look into?
Uh oh. Oh yeah. Well, I just wanted to ask, what do you think the main theme of Baratie was, Striker?
Your dreams. Sanji gave up on his dream to find the All Blue to help Zeph. Sanji told Luffy on their dreams. All three of them decided not to give up on their dreams. Also, he's into Nami and her dream. So I'm going to say the theme here is do not give up on your dreams.
Okay, so you said, just to be clear, you said dreams, right?
Yeah, dream.
Yeah. I'd pretty much agree with you. Yeah. Like, I think Don Krieg is someone who I do think it basically delves into how it like specifically like going about achieving your dreams and like romanticizing essentially like going all in and throwing your life away for your dream. Because like Don Krieg compared to Luffy, like if Luffy was in Don Krieg's position, he would have ran back. Don Krieg stepped back, like Don Krieg was in Zoro's position and he took that step back. So he basically admitted, I can't do this right now, but like Zoro and Luffy won't ever admit that.
The shonen sort of determination. I guess on
Yeah,
that real
yeah.
quick, I have a whole spiel about that. I feel like sometimes there is like a point where like the uber determination isn't like the best moral to have, where like you keep crashing yourself against like the rocks or something, where it's like not
Mhm.
sometimes it isn't the best mindset to have because I mean like all right, let's say Sanji wasn't able to beat Dracula in that moment. I mean, he could come back and try again theoretically if Mihawk didn't just kill him right there. But
So, right.
sometimes you do something, you could be ready to do it in the future, or you could yourself in the present. So
I will say you might want to just try to restate that except a little slower.
sorry, I speak fast.
Yeah. I forget, are you on your laptop or your phone?
Laptop.
Mm.
I would suggest your phone again.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah, I'm getting a new mic, so don't worry. That should increase the audio quality. So
Okay. Okay, that's good. But whatchamacallit? I would agree with that. I will say One Piece kind of is a story that romanticizes a lot of stuff, obviously. But despite doing that, later down the line, we will actually get an arc that kind of explores what happens when you kind of don't know, like when you don't necessarily, when you need more than just that head-on determination, I guess I should say.
when you don't know your limits,
Like because like this whole arc kind of like what you need for your dream is that full on ride or die determination. And that can definitely be a bad thing the way you just said it is. And later down the line, we will have an arc that explores it when it's like, you do need more than just that determination to achieve your dreams, and you need to realize you need more than that.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder. Because
Yeah.
I will say one thing about this. Remember, while they're in the East Blue, technically all the Straw Hats are kind of over leveled. It's like Sanji's stronger
Yeah.
than literally everyone else in the entire restaurant. Luffy can kind of one punch most of the villains he's run into. Like, was it like, yeah, Don Krieg even tried to exploit Luffy's weakness with the spikes, and that still didn't really do anything.
Yeah. Well, like
Like,
the entire fight was like Don Krieg had different weapons just to try to keep Luffy
Mhm.
away from him.
The porcupine.
By the way,
he just punched through that with like brute strength.
yeah, he just smashes through it. Like, does he end the fight with the bazooka, Gum bazooka, or was that?
He kind of ended it. It seemed like Don Krieg lost consciousness for a second, then regained it. Honestly, I
Gotcha.
think Don Krieg lost consciousness a total of 3 times in the fight, with like the final time being like he's actually unconscious.
Jesus. Yeah.
You know what?
But
Don't
Yeah,
say they did
'cause,
it on
like-
grid because he got back up twice.
Yeah, like he got hit after the porcupine thing, he fell down.
yeah.
And then he got back up. Then the bazooka, he definitely went unconscious, and then he regained consciousness and hit Luffy with the net. And then yeah, even after Luffy hit him with the like gabble, and it was like the end of the fight, he was unconscious technically, but he got back up.
Mhm. Yeah, I think like was it the same in the Viz translation? But I think like one of the chefs called Don Krieg like he's a pirate fleet admiral who commands 50 ships. I'm just like
I think I did see that.
yeah, because I was gonna say like because they said because they were saying like Don Krieg actually started in the Navy and they like took out his captain and used that
Yeah,
as a
yeah, I
ship.
saw that too.
So it's like I don't really like it the fact that they're calling him a fleet admiral of any
Wait.
sort because it's like
I thought they said he broke out of prison in
no
the Navy.
You know, he
Really?
broke out of prison, then joined a ship, then killed the captain, and then got a bunch of ship. So it was something like convoluted about like country.
Okay. So he broke out. So he was never part of the crew. He just broke out and just masqueraded as part of it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, that actually does bring up some interesting parallels too between like Luffy and Sanji and Don Krieg, because both Luffy and Sanji are kind of like Sanji has high integrity and everything, like a good moral system, so like he's not really someone to trick people when fighting them, and then Luffy's too dumb to do so. And he's also just a bad liar. Like, I mean, Van knows, but you'll see later on, Striker, that Luffy is a terrible liar.
He saw early on that he was a terrible liar because remember he lied to that guy that was. He's like, oh, he didn't lie. He just said, no, I'm not going to show you anything. And his intentions were still found out, even though he didn't even. He said, I'm not going to show you. You know, when chests were on the top of the cliff and they were empty.
Yeah.
He wasn't even able to see the guy locked in a barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's about it. Wait, I do want to ask, how do you compare this arc to the previous arcs?
See, so the previous arcs were the Shells Town. Then after
Yeah.
that was the Buggy.
Orange Town,
Orange Town. Yeah, Shells Town, Orange Town.
and then Syrup Village.
What was the village one again?
That was the one with Kuro.
Okay, yeah. Kuro, I think, was better than Don Krieg. It just cooler, you know. Don Krieg just seemed kind of like a poser with a bunch of gear and, you know, just a coward. Again, I gave Don Krieg that. He kept standing up, you know, despite the punishment he got. But I mean, like, Luffy just demolished him, basically. So, yeah,
Hey,
was cool.
Kuro also knew how to use the flash step, which is way cooler than anything Don Krieg could do.
Yeah, but I will say I hate to say this, but that arc did lose a few points because I just don't like Usopp. That's like maybe that's just like a personal thing, but like it's a chip on my shoulder right there. I mean, like the arc other than that was touching. Even Usopp's flashback was touching too. But that, you know, it's just not my thing.
You can't love a liar, right?
You can't. But no, I'm not going to comment on that one. But yeah, the Buggy arc that one was all right. Shellstown was pretty good. I would say actually, I guess I would go Park. Maybe this one's like tied with Shellstown because that was Zorro's introduction when he showed up and had all the swords on his back, and then the fight with Captain Morgan. I don't know. Shellstown's pretty good. Shellstown and maybe the Baratie arc are tied because of reason. Then we have Usopp and Buggy. So like personally against the Buggy arc, I kind of like Buggy, but I mean like it just wasn't that interesting to me. I mean the Acrobat was cool, the one that was like Buggy's like second in command. And like the Lion Tamer, the Lion Tamer uses the shield. It's kind of funny, but like, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, with that being said, we can definitely move on to the next arc, the Arlong Park arc.
Right, the Arlong Park, which is better than all the other ones before it, right? Right, Striker?
In my opinion, yes. And it's kind of dark too. I don't know if it's like darker than all the other arcs, but it was.
I would say it's probably darker than all of them.
Nami's backstory, at least, is definitely darker.
Yeah.
So, to summarize what happened, I think we start off with Zoro and the two, or Zolo, in the boat with Usopp and the two bounty hunters. And one of the bounty hunters went back to go find Luffy, and Usopp and the other bounty hunter, they just jump ship and leave Zoro tied up to the mast of the ship.
Yeah.
They tie him up like injured.
Yeah, they tied him up and left him.
Yeah, just so messed up. It's like I worked in his favor because like the fishmen, they show up and tortured man. We're gonna take you to the boss, and they take him in. I know they said something. They get there, it's revealed that Nami is working for Arlong, which already in concept is kind of messed up too. She's like working for him, and like she gave all the she didn't give them the gold. She's saving gold so she can buy back the. Well, I guess that's technically spoiled, but the point is, she's saving up all this money to buy back the village. So she's working for Arlong. He's got the nose. He's like a shark. He's like they bring Zoro in front of him, and I guess they try to arrest Zoro, but then he just escapes. I don't think he held it.
Yeah. I mean, they do get Zoro.
Okay.
So it's not like they really tried. They accomplished what they went out to do. It's just he does escape.
Okay. And then so he escapes, and then Usopp somehow gets caught up in some stuff, and he gets brought to the the throne room of Arlong, and then Nami the fake stab. I gotta give Nami props for that stab because she stabbed her own hand instead of actually stabbing Usopp, right? But she made it look like Usopp got stabbed and it was bleeding, right?
Yeah. Were you fooled by that at all?
No, I mean I knew Usopp wasn't gonna die from that. I was just like, oh, did she like stab him in like I don't know, the kidney or something?
You don't need both of those, right?
Yeah, you don't need that. Probably bleed out. The generic, it's an abdomen wound, so you're gonna survive the anime wound, But yeah, no, I was surprised that like, oh, Usopp's not out of the fight because she like that was I thought that was admirable of her. Like that was like a badass moment. Her saving Zoro from drowning, that was also pretty cool. I actually thought Zoro was just gonna swim away because I thought like, yeah, Zoro's he's not gonna take this crap. He's just in the water and just gonna swim away, But like Nami rescuing him, that was pretty good, I think. Could Zoro swam away from that, or like, do you think he would have just drowned because he was tied up?
Yeah, he probably would have just drowned since he was tied up.
Okay.
Have you ever tried swimming without your hands or legs?
Were his legs tied up too? I thought his arms were just tied up.
No, I believe both his legs and his hands were tied up.
Okay. Because I functionally swim without using my arm. It sucks. But I think you can do it. I had to carry this brick for lifeguard training, and you have to keep the brick above the water, so you're using both your hands. You're paddling fiercely with your feet. But yeah, no.
I mean, when the life's on the line, I guess you got to do what you got to do.
Gotta do what you gotta do, yeah. So, and yeah, back to the arc. So yeah, so Nami had a lot of good moments, like again, saving Sanji. I mean, it's not Sanji, Zoro. Saving Zoro, and then saving Usopp. I like Usopp just, I guess on principle, but her saving him, I think, was like one of the highlights of Nami's character. Then the heartbreaking reveal. Okay, so the village like Nami because they pretend not to like Nami because she's trying to buy back their freedom, and I guess they're playing along. And her stepsister's staying at the home or whatever, where Nojiko or the stepmom was, who was.
Nojiko is the sister. Belmare is the mom.
Belmare is the mom. Okay, my bad. Yeah, so Nojiko's staying at the house of Belmare, and so like Luffy and Usopp. No, she rescued Usopp, and then they talked, and it was like, yeah, Nami's stepsister, and then I think Luffy showed up, and they're kind of waffling around for a bit, and then I forget exactly what happened. Basically, I just want to talk about the flashback. So yeah, so the fishermen come and they just completely tear house, and they say, what is it, 50,000 berries for each adult and 25,000 berries for each what do you call it, kid, or anyone in the campaign will be killed. Like, oh my goodness, how are we going to pay that? By the way, how much is a berry? Is a berry basically just a yen? Because the first thought that came to mind was like,
Tracker, slow down a little bit. You're kind of
You're kind of becoming robotic.
Yeah, like an echo chamber a little bit.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask, what's the equivalent to berries? Is berries equivalent to yen, I'm assuming?
I think about...
Yeah, I was going to say, 50,000 a month. My first thought was dollars because, we're Americans. And, I was like, oh my God, wow. I was like, oh wait, it's probably yen, so it's probably it's really not as bad as I thought it was. So, but still, so yeah, they go around, so yeah, you gotta pay or be killed. And then, the town boss, was he like a Navy person? Because he was wearing a Navy stuff in the flashback.
Oh, I think he's supposed to be more like a cop kind of person,
Okay.
or maybe a Navy correspondent.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure. We see someone else dressed like that in the next arc on an island. It just seems like they're kind of like the town, they're in a leadership position of the town.
Okay, the mayor of sorts, So yeah, so this mayor guy, so they go around, they get all the money, and then they find Bellemere house, and they go there, and of course there's 3 plates set. Before that, Nami kind of cursed Bellemere out about the relation, and then Bellemere didn't care because Nami's just a kid. So they show up, and he's like, oh, there's 3 placemats here, so you got to pay for 3 people, and then I think it was the doctor and the mayor said, oh no, we were just coming over for dinner as guests. There's no. And the fisherman checked the registry, and she doesn't have any biological kids or any husbands. Like, oh, they bought it. And then I think somehow Nami and Nojiko get found out. They're supposed to leave on a boat, but did they run back to Bellemere or something? Or
Oh, I mean that happens after. Well, that happens after Bellemere says that the money's for her kids.
Okay, yeah. So maybe this ties back into what I was saying earlier about the whole shonen pride, determination, don't lie sort of thing. If Bellemere had just lied, I know that the fishmen would probably, stuck around, but I mean, it didn't seem like they were actively patrolling the town. It looked like they would come in every month or so to collect the funds. Basically, I was going to say is if Bellemere had just lied, maybe she could have lived and both her kids could have lived instead of leaving them both orphans. I don't know, maybe.
I will say that it is revealed later on that the ships were already broken, so eventually they would have been found and they would have been killed, but regardless, I get what you're saying, but I always love the scene specifically because it's essentially she'd rather die than reject the notion that she has daughters, before that, the doctor tells them there's no actual proof you're Bellemere's children, so there's nothing in existence that says you guys have a connection. And so, rather than denying that connection to save her own life, she'd rather save their life by admitting it exists and, give herself up. And I don't know, I find that I find it beautiful in a way.
Yeah, no, it's a meaningful moment. I mean, definitely, even a scene where she says goodbye to her kid. Well, we'll get to that in a second. But it was a meaningful moment. But I don't know. I feel like there was probably another way out of it. I mean,
remember, Striker, giving up your beliefs is worse than giving up death. Well, worse than dying. So.
Yeah, actually,
you really got to keep that in mind.
That's absolutely true. I guess you're right because if she did that, I would have been giving up on her. That would have. So she died at least not giving up on her beliefs. Okay, all right. In that context.
Yeah. Plus, in all fairness, I will say this was rationally thinking from what she knows. This probably would have been the smartest decision too if she wanted her kids to be safe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's always going to be that nagging theme for me that it could have gone down a different way. But I think honestly, I guess what I said, is just that is the best way that.
Remember, you have a third person view of the whole situation.
Right. So then we get to the moment where Nami and Nojiko, they come back, and the 50,000 to 25,000 thing. So you could either buy one adult or you could buy 2 children. So Nojiko uses it to buy 2 children's life, and then the really dark moment. I'm pretty sure that Bellemere just got point blank executed in front of her kids, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Like that was just like a straight up like. That is.
Yep, just straight through the head. In the
Straight
anime,
through the
they
head,
have it
yeah.
through the chest, though.
All right, so they had to, but yeah, that was like I think that was like the darkest thing I've seen in One Piece. Just like I know they were using guns before, and they like okay, using actual guns. I know they're flintlock, but like so that's kind of like it's kind of grittier than the key blast with the magic or the or swords or whatever that they use most of the times. But like yeah, no, they just straight up headshot. Wow, okay. It was
Mm-hmm.
dang. So yeah, and then after that, they kidnapped Nami and they made her into their navigator, right? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I was just like, because they killed her mom, and then they kidnap her, separating her from her sister, and then they force her to join their crew by tattooing symbol onto her, and they give her money. I don't know. It's just like a really messed up, like sort of indoctrination, child slavery, child soldier thing they did to Nami. That was just like that flashback is just so dark because the darkness doesn't even just end after they kill Belmare. They induct Nami into the pirate. That is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was sad. I will say, I might be the only one here, but I typically always shed a few tears when I see that flashback.
Yeah, I hear people talk about that all the time. Whenever
Mm.
someone talks about this section of the story. I don't know. I don't know why. Like when I first read it years back at this point, I don't know. I guess something about this. Maybe I was just trying to speed through it, and it's like I just didn't. Nothing of it really resonated with me. I guess it was just too. I guess the taxation idea and the mafia was just a little bit too political for my small brain. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Sad story though.
On the taxation and the mafia thing and the political. The Navy was so. This is the Seven Warlord system, right? Where like you have
No, that's not. It's not about the warlords. Like Arlong's nothing to do
Yeah,
with them.
like Arlong is not a warlord.
Okay. So what was going on with him and Mouseman? Because I know there's that other Navy dude who got beat up, but like, what was the deal with him and Mouseman? Was like, so was Arlong condoned by Mouseman?
Oh, you
By
mean the
who?
Marine?
Yeah, the
I
Marine. Yeah, the Marine guy who had like they called him.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's like they just let him run. They take a cut of the profit and essentially they're like sharing control of the area, sort of. I think because it wasn't it part of Arlong's plot. He was trying to usurp power from them. I think.
yeah.
I don't know.
Essentially, like, they just took some money in order to look the other way from Arlong,
Yeah,
and it's mutually beneficial because it's like I'm sure that I think his name's Captain Nezumi. I'm sure that Captain
Yeah,
Nezumi probably knows he can't beat the Arlong pirates, and the Arlong pirates would prefer to not have any trouble.
yeah. Because if
If they
they
keep killing the Marines in the area,
they're just gonna
sooner or
start
later
sending out
someone
like
stronger is gonna come. Yeah.
they got
right.
captains and admirals and stuff like that on their doorstep, and that's not. That they don't want that.
Yeah.
Hey, they maybe they'll send Mihawk over.
Mihawk is a warlord, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. And then they mentioned Jinbei. Jinbei is also a warlord, right? He's like the Sun Pirates.
Uh, yeah, he's currently a warlord still, yeah.
Okay, okay. So I know they name dropped him. I don't think they mentioned anything else about him. But yeah, so that was just that. So yeah. So then going back to the present. So I guess Luffy finds all this out, and then he puts his hat on Nami, and then Nami has a flashback to when Luffy said the hat is his most treasured treasure, and he gives that to Nami. So they go and they fight Arlong, and so Zoro fights six-handed swordfish
Hachi.
Hachi, yeah, him, and Zoro's he's the badass. He's got like the wound from Mihawk still bleeding through. He fights I don't know some guy, and then of course Luffy fights Arlong, and then he gets brought underwater by the fishmen, and then they so Noji who's covered in scars by the way, and that was also messed up too. When like what do you call it? So they killed Noji, and when they were trying with Nami, that's when the cop dude tried to fight against the Arlong pirates, and that's when he got cut up, right?
Say again?
The mayor dude who was like covered in scars.
Right, yeah. So I think when he was trying to save the mother, Belmare, they cut him up, and yeah, that's when they got covered.
Yeah, pretty much. Just so you know, his name is Genzo.
Genzo.
Okay. So Genzo and Nojiko, they go into the water to save Luffy by pulling his, stretching his neck and bringing his head ashore, doing like CPR. Like one of those underwater, like punching, doing chest compressions. The other one's, doing the breath resuscitations on land. It's just like, yeah, so funny. And creator, and creator. So Devil Fruit powers work underwater. You just can't swim, right?
Maybe.
Luffy, like it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, because
Luffy's
stretching.
Devil Fruit power is always active, and that's kind of a rarity in Devil Fruits. Like most Devil Fruit powers are like zones, logias, and even most paramecias. Those are things you activate.
Yeah, but like
Luffy's is just
like
always there.
By the way, do you think Oda like kind of started changing that up a little bit? Because I think because the first two we see are Luffy's and what's his name, Buggy's, and they're both paramecias, but they're both like they're like pseudo Logia paramecias.
Yeah,
and like I don't know.
I think Oda just probably figured out how to, because like the first abilities are all kind of like basic, for lack of better words. Like,
Disagree, yeah.
Yeah, like Luffy's and Buggy's abilities actually parallel each other in the idea that like Luffy is immune to blunt attacks and then Buggy is immune to all sharp attacks.
Yeah.
And so like it seems like they kind of play off of each other a bit more. Then next time we'll be talking about someone who's kind of a combination of Luffy and Buggy's immunities, at least. And I feel like after he got into the Grand Line, that's when he just started putting rules into actually how these devil fruits work.
And when he
and
started
probably
putting
was thinking,
stands
okay,
in there.
yeah, like was thinking, okay, what makes this a category? What makes this a category?
Yeah.
And then the paramecia catch-all Ben.
Yeah, it's like so we have one category, another category, and then I don't know what to classify the rest of these guys. So paramecia, let's go. Oh boy, that's fun.
Do you think that you could, if Buggy started to sink, do you think you could save him by chopping off his head and bringing it to the surface?
I don't know if Buggy can activate his powers when he's inside. Do you mean? Oh, you mean if Buggy was sinking, if you chopped off his head?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that. I think so, but
well, actually, I don't think he could. I think if you were to cut him underwater, it wouldn't work. But I don't think he can actually force himself to levitate, mainly because he'd feel too exhausted.
Yeah. Are you sure? Because it's like Luffy continued to stretch even after they started submerging him.
I mean, wait, what do you mean after they started submerging him?
Let me go get a proper view of this. It's like just
he was underwater, drowning, and then they stretched him. So
yeah,
but like that's not something he did. That's something they did.
I know, yeah, but that's what Striker is saying is like if someone else were to cut Buggy, like
I think that I don't think you'd actually be able to cut him.
So if I just chopped his head off underwater, it would actually just sever his head and kill him instead of like.
No, it would just separate his head.
Okay, so it wouldn't kill him, and you'd be able to bring him to the surface.
Okay, I think we're talking a bit of a circle here, but okay.
Oh wait, now I get it. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. You could keep him alive that way, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just curious. So
yeah, it's kind of funny too if you're doing what ifs. It's just because I thought about like what if the Navy actually did send Jinpei over to take out the rest of the Arlong pirates. Like you definitely could do that. That'd be funny,
that would have been missing some of the story there.
Yeah, that would be very funny though.
Just like goes up and it's just Jinbei's there. He's like, oh yeah, I dealt with the pirate problem. You don't need to buy the town anymore. So
yeah, I dealt with Arlong. He was being too much of a dick. Oh boy. Anyways, though, so where are we at? Luffy was underwater.
Yeah, so they bring his head up, and then so Sanji goes underwater, and Zoro's holding off, and he says that coy line about, "Oh, it stayed still. The wounds, or he said if one were to stay still." I don't know. He said something in a vague perspective because he was referring to Hachi, because Hachi had a bunch of cuts and they opened up when he went underwater to fight. Arlong thought Zoro was talking about himself. So yeah. So Sanji goes underwater, breaks the rocks, frees Luffy, and then the Hachi goes underwater to follow him, but his wounds open up, and then Luffy's ready for round 2, and he basically just starts pummeling Arlong. I mean, Arlong had the teeth, and he had the nose rocket, and I would say also Luffy putting himself in fighting Arlong like that. That was a little fun.
Hold on. Can you rewind 5 seconds?
Sure. So so Luffy's freed, and he starts fighting Arlong, and I think it's an okay fight. Luffy put on Arlong's teeth because Arlong kept regrowing new teeth. That was cool. I mean, Arlong did some stuff like the nose rocket and the teeth fighting. It was alright, but I mean, like Luffy just basically, did he have trouble with fighting Arlong the second time around? Because basically, it just seemed like Luffy was just going to win, like medium difficulty.
He didn't really have much trouble. Like the thing is, like I think I told you this last time. Luffy tends to get cocky and like kind of let himself slip up and stuff like that. Like it's hard for him to take a fight serious, I guess. Like for example, when he first showed up, he was mad, so he was taking it serious. But then after he fell into the water, he stopped taking it serious. He relaxed a bit and like he basically mellowed back out. And then like we saw what happened once he started taking it serious again.
Yeah, just curb stop. Yeah. I was gonna say it's funny. He stopped taking it seriously after his life was put in danger. So after his life was put in danger, then he stopped taking it seriously. I guess that's admitting that he can't beat Luffy without cheating. Which that was one other thing. I think Luffy used one of Arlong's men as a shield when Arlong did the teeth attack. Right?
Yes.
So I mean, man, what you were saying last week about a pirate fight being a pirate fight. I mean, yeah, he learned some buggy, except don't use your own men as a shield. Use the enemy men as a shield. So props to Luffy for that. Yeah. So.
And it was it's interesting. The thing is, I remember like Godfrey, have you ever seen one of those videos where it's like it's measuring power levels of different anime characters throughout their respective stories?
I mean, the one where it's like a time lapse and they have like the bar graph and it goes up and down.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
that, yeah. Okay.
I remember I would see them for One Piece, and
Oh boy, power scaling. You love this stuff, right?
and it would keep increasing at the beginning of East Blue, and it's just so weird because like there's absolutely no reason to think that Luffy is stronger at the beginning of East Blue versus like
the end.
I mean, at the end of East Blue versus like the beginning of East Blue. He literally hasn't really been challenged by anyone.
Yeah, he doesn't really get challenged for the next couple arcs. In fact, well,
yeah, no, it's not a tale against a certain
it's
person
not
that he gets a good challenge.
Even then, I wouldn't even say that. Even then, I wouldn't even say that because like the next arc, I guess Logtown, for you guys, just I guess lampshade that is that like he doesn't actually fight; he runs. So like, if he actually tried to. I don't know, because usually speaking, like in the case where Luffy would need to, like in the case where people who could actually beat Luffy tends to run away from them, and they're few and far between. But it's kind of funny if you think about it. Unless of course they're just in his way, like straight up in his way, and he's just not okay with them doing what they're doing. But
yeah, I will say, for the next arc against that person, he doesn't actually have anything against that person. Then
yeah, no, he doesn't. He does nothing against them personally compared to the other villains he fights. But
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Where it's just like he has no reason to really have the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So it just honestly, I think that just makes more sense for him to run away in that case.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that next time if I come back. But yeah, okay. All right. So, which fight are you guys on again? Are we on?
Yeah. So basically, we're just wrapping up the Arlong. I mean, he pulls out the sword. He goes berserk mode. I mean, I think he tried to chop Luffy's neck off, but like, what do you call that? Luffy was just too strong. One other thing, like, yeah, you guys, I think you're right about like Luffy not getting that much strong because he punched out the Sea King at the very beginning, like right before Shellstown, and like he punched out a Sea King here. It was like the Moo Moo cow or whatever. Like, I punched it out, or Sanji punched it out.
He punched it and Sanji kicked it.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, like he scared off the Sea King. So I mean, like like And Arlong even treated the Sea King like it was their ace in the hole, so I mean, like, I was going to have too much trouble with Arlong. So yeah, and then they had the touching ending where everyone's celebrating. Yeah, we did it. Arlong's gone. Do we see Arlong again? Because I know Luffy doesn't kill, and I'm just wondering because Gene the fisherman, right? And he's like the deal. And
Do you mean like you want spoilers type of do we see him again, or do you mean in general? Like
just in general for now, just in general.
I mean, you will indeed see him in the story again.
All right, that's good enough for me.
Mhm.
So Nezu Captain Mouse, he shows up to try and clean the house, and he just gets completely bodied, and I think Nami beat him up. So that was interesting. So yeah, and then so they have the celebration, and then Nami steals. So after they have their celebration, Nami steals all the townspeople's their wallets and whatnot. So yeah, it's a nice little ending. The last thing, the biggest thing. Hang on. I'm gonna try and speak slowly because this was exciting. Luffy finally got his wanted poster, right? Like,
Yeah.
and his bounty. And like
Yep.
Navy meeting or something where they said, yeah, East Blue, like 3 of the biggest guys from the East Blue, what was it, Kuro, Arlong, and Krieg, they were like taken out by Luffy. So Luffy's like a big deal now. So yeah. I don't know if they gave him like an official bounty yet, but I know like now they're he's an actual threat. It's like basically, I would say like wanted posters are almost like pirates, like sort of bounty power levels, right? Like this is scouter, his bounty is over 9,000 or something like that.
By the way, what did you think of Usopp's fight?
Well, actually, I was gonna say, did he defeat the kissing guy, the kisserfish? He beat him, right? Like the alcohol and he lit him on fire.
Yeah.
So that finishing move was great. I think he doused him in alcohol, lit him on fire. That was great. That was spectacular. I guess I'll give credit to Usopp for actually winning. I like the way he won. So
Yeah.
I will say I have a bias against him, but yes, that was a great way of beating the fisherman. He seared him like fish.
So you like that fisherman and like the little suction water gun he was doing? That was funny. Like,
Fisherman, but the fisherman was actually one of the more colorful ones. I think the other 2 fishermen, the ones that like Sanji and Zoro fought, I can't even remember them, but I do remember Kisserfish. Yeah, so.
yeah. Speaking of the fisherman, though, this is like I don't know. Since I know you a little bit, what do you actually think about the fisherman here?
Did decide. Okay. I know that the fishmen as a whole come back later on, but right now they just seem like generic mutant monsters. Like, oh no, they're monsters and they think they're better than humanity, and oh my goodness, they're all evil and the poor innocent humans. What are we gonna do? I know nowadays that a lot of people subvert that. I know that it comes back again with like a different take on the fishmen later on, but they just seem kind of generic. Other than the fact that like they were just hardcore when they came in and they rolled into town. Like,
Gotcha. So they just seem like they're a little bit stronger than everybody else, and they're just really hardcore, but they're still kind of monsters. Gotcha.
yeah, I wouldn't even say stronger than everyone. Like stronger than the average human, yeah. But I mean, like, okay, Zoro was doing all right, and he had a giant cut on his chest that he stapled shut himself. Sanji, I guess, was well rested, but I mean, like, I think Sanji even got hurt in that fight. And then Luffy, I mean, he beat Arlong after almost drowning. So
Well, I mean, hey, they were strong enough for like Lami's backstory to be a thing. So
yeah, okay, they were strong enough for that, and I guess they were technically strong enough to keep Rat from taking them over. I guess, or maybe he just didn't care to try and fight it anyway. But yeah, so I mean, like they were I guess threatening enough. I think Don Krieg and his pirates are more threatening than Arlong in terms of like a threat. I think Arlong's backstory definitely gave him more of a threat factor, just because of the fact that like, yeah, he just straight up executed someone on screen. Have we seen anything like that beforehand? Like just a cold-blooded headshot execution like that? Like anything similar? So, I mean, he attacked them guys, but that was sort of in the middle of a fight when he went berserk. Don Krieg poisoned Geen. So I guess that's like a second close, the second one. Can't think of anything else that was just like any sort of heinous. So that was where I thought Arlong got most of his stuff. He was willing to go there.
that's pretty good. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. You there, Opa? We'll give him a sec to get back on the mic.
Just real quick. So I did read the first chapter. I think the next arc is like the Rogue Town, and that was the one where Zoro found the girl that looked like his childhood friend who fell down the stairs.
Shigi, yeah.
Cheeky, yeah. And so we call it. So Opa and I were talking last week about how like Mayor. Oh, hello?
Opa, you there? Or maybe his mic went down.
Hello?
Yeah,
Okay, cool,
how's it
cool.
going?
Okay, I didn't know you guys couldn't hear me.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah, what did you last hear?
You haven't talked in a while.
yeah. Stricker and Vasco for some time.
Oh, wait. So, was the last thing I said about the Usopp fight?
So
Did you no
did
wait,
you
yeah,
even
no, I asked Striker about the Usopp fight and you didn't chime in.
Yeah, no, I asked about the Usopp fight before you asked about the Usopp fight.
Mm-hmm.
that's I think that's the last we heard from you.
Okay, yeah. Maybe your mic went out or something like that. That's funny.
Yeah, that must have been it. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, shoot. Oh, well.
Oh well.
Yeah. You guys can just go back to what you were saying, because I don't
Okay,
remember it.
Well, I mean,
So
we were talking
we
about
were,
Logtown at this point, but
yeah, so just real quick on that, Opa, we were talking about how like Zoro may or may not be sexist, and I remember, so I remember that conversation. Then I read the first chapter of Rogue Town or whatever, or Logue Town, and she shows up and she like cuts down these two, I don't know, bands, but like she trips and falls, and like, oh, I guess it's like, oh, she's a woman, so she's fragile and not as good as a fighter as man could be. So I could see where like, okay, maybe Zoro is sexist because if they build off this in like the wrong direction, it's like, I don't know.
well, it's like look at it this way. Yes, that's very. I don't know. I guess spoilerish alert that yeah, they do build on this quite a fair bit. Whenever it becomes relevant, usually it's not relevant. I will say that much. To most of Zoro's fights, he's not ever even fighting a woman. But like that's kind of just like with the way. Remember? Do you remember why his childhood friend was so sad about the fact that she was a woman?
She's gonna grow up and not be as strong. Oh my god, it's not silly and weird just to like quote that. Quote that. He's like, she's not gonna be as strong as Zoro is when she grows up because she'll be a woman. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that's
try to
something because
be.
remember something like she beat him literally every single time, and like so he's getting so essentially speaking he's getting this idea that men are stronger than women ingrained inside his skull by someone who like because like she is sad about this all the dang time. Like I don't know, it's like essentially speaking she's actually traumatizing Zoro at a young age about this. So it is something that like he kind of does have to work out. And so like it's not your classic case of sexism, but it is sexism. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, there's also just the fact that like she died in such a mundane way. Like she
Right.
died in a way that
Yes.
feels like just falling down the stairs. When you think about it, you're like, oh, I'd survive a fall down the stairs.
Yeah, it's not like that in like an accident in like the dojo or something, or like Mihawk came and killed her or something crazy like that. It was just the stairs. That's actually extremely mundane for One Piece, but oh well.
Disrespected though, like
Oda was
oh,
getting his writing chops ready for like the other flashbacks.
Yeah, like Luffy's flashback. Yeah, let's not talk about that though.
yeah, no, but I mean, I still feel like, oh my god, I mean, like, I don't know if Oda, like you said, he's getting his writing chops. So I don't know if he handled that the best way. I mean, I don't know what's going to come in the future. I mean, like, just judging off the conversation we had last week and how this initial scene with Shigi went, I'm like, oh well.
Tashigi, by the way.
What's her name?
Tashigi.
Kashi. Okay, Kashigi.
I don't think it's fully like it doesn't. It's not gonna come to the forefront until I think almost 700 chapters into the story.
Guys,
So
one
we got a
sec.
while.
Oh, and Opa, just one other quick thing. Oh, Mihawk and Shanks, they spoke to each other. Mihawk is like, hey, is Luffy your protege? And Shanks is like, yeah, he is. And you know, I thought that was really cool to see Shanks come back and he looked more scary than he did at the beginning.
Yeah.
It seemed like yeah, okay.
Oh wait,
like,
that
all these
reminds me. I
guys-
actually have to look at that.
they looked intimidating. Oh, by the way,
Oh,
in the chapters, Ben Beckman was on the popularity poll like early on. He was like number 6 or something. And like we saw Shanks' crew again.
oh, you're talking about the popularity poll?
Yeah. And how like Ben Beckman, like his name was there and it showed the guy and he was like highly ranked, but we hadn't seen Shanks' crew yet by the time of that popularity poll. So he was
Wait, well, I mean, we saw Ben Beckman before already.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo. Like, all of Shanks' crew that were there were already like there in the first chapter.
And he must have made like a really good impression for a lot of people. If like, people remembered him like and like.
Oh yeah, pretty much. I think it's just because he beat everyone with a rifle. Like
Yeah.
just beat them like a drum.
Navigator Van, you still there?
I think so.
So, oh yeah, the theme of Arlong Park, or that's what the whole arc is called? Yeah. I think it's got to do with dreams again because Nami had a dream of buying back her town, and then she has a dream of collecting treasure. Maybe not turning your back on your dreams again because what do you call that? Bellamere didn't turn her back on her for dreams. It's like we talked about how like it's worse than death if you do that. And then Nami, I don't know. Actually, I can't put my finger to it. It feels like there's like two different things going on. Like there's the sort of like death, the grittiness, what happened in the flashback, and there's sort of like, yeah, I can't put my finger on this one.
Honestly, I'm gonna be serious. I don't know what if I could think of what I was like consider a definitive theme of the arc. I typically just go with friendship.
Friendship. All right.
Yeah, because of the whole Nami thing. I will say though, one interesting thing that I had pointed out to me one time listening to someone else was that all the fishmen they're racist. They think that they are superior, and so all their abilities are based on their inherent like differences to humans. Like the guy with the whole blowfish lips. Obviously, he does that. And then like the one with the fisherman karate. Fisherman karate is something fairly specific to fishermen, and even more specific in the sea to fishermen.
Yeah.
There is someone who uses fisherman karate down the line who's not a fisherman, but nonetheless, it's like it utilizes when in the sea, it utilizes stuff specific to them, and
Yeah.
gives them specific advantages.
The thing about
And then
Arlong
the
using his
whole
teeth.
six sword style is something that Hachi said can only be used by someone with six arms to begin with, and those six arms are also flexible. And then, obviously Arlong with his nose and shark teeth.
Well, I will say this much: I think Killer Bee from Naruto would have to argue with Hachi about that one, but
I think that'd be. I think Killer Bee might show him up a few times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially you get him in the water, start shooting electricity down there. That'd be bad. But yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I just once I heard that, I just always thought that was a really interesting touch Oda did with their abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I will say, I forgot to say this. In the anime, Zeph also doesn't eat his foot
What's the
from like the Baratie arc. He just loses it to save Sanji.
all right. That's more PG, of course.
Yeah. And then he just doesn't eat for the entirety of the time. And as for like Zoro's scar, they don't actually show Zoro's scar in the anime when like Arlong's holding him up.
Hey, wait, is it like what they do with JoJo, where like the time where Jotaro was supposed to be smoking, just entirely a black screen?
Pretty much almost. They just kind of like show the top of Zoro, then like some blood spatters on Arlong's face, and like you just see it, and it's like a shadow as soon as you get to the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I will say, do you think Zoro could take on Arlong if he was at full health?
Yes.
At this point, maybe. Yeah.
I think so as well. I will say, like, also, like, you said like Don Krieg was more intimidating than Arlong.
Well, in terms of him and his crew, I mean, him and his crew seem more of a threat than Arlong and his.
The crew at full strength, right? Yeah. Because for one, technically Don Krieg is a Grand Line threat comparatively, even if he's like, just.
Hey! In all fairness, Arlong came from the Grand Line first.
True, actually. I don't know. Well, that's fair.
It's more so like, I mean,
Well, hey, if we're gonna
I
go with
think
that
part
way,
of the
then
reason is
Buggy's
just like,
technically.
huh?
We're gonna go that. We're gonna go that far. Buggy's should be like the biggest threat they've faced so
Oh
far.
shoot, you're right.
Like, he's like,
That too.
all
God,
right.
wow. Actually, everyone but what? That's Alvita and Captain Morgan and Kuro. Those are the only three who didn't go to the Grand Line. Wow.
Wait, the Crow
Say,
didn't go to the Grand Line?
Yeah, he didn't go, or it's never been said that he's went.
Interesting. Okay.
I was going to say Biggie still felt like the strongest because it didn't even feel like they beat him. I know we talked about it. He may have been knocked out. We didn't quite see it. I still think that like Buggy, like they just sent him really far away. They didn't like brute force knock him out. They just sent him far away and separated him from his body so he couldn't continue to. I think that like if he wasn't sent as far away, I think he still probably could have tried to.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's tough. If Arlong were to bite Buggy, what would happen?
Oh, so we talked about like with sharp wounds. I don't think Buggy can use his powers on puncture wounds. I mean, like cutting stuff. Like, yeah, of course you can come and slam me. But, like,
Yeah, this
You
is
mean
like
what? So like someone stabbed me? You don't think that would actually that?
I think he just, like,
actually
split in
no.
half.
He should be fine if someone stabs him. Now that I think about it, he could just separate his body anyways.
Yeah, I think like if Arlong
Huh.
bites Buggy, then like some pieces are going to be in his mouth, and like it will be very awkward because he couldn't because even if you chewed him, it wouldn't do anything. But like maybe if you like took him underwater, like, I don't know. This is a weird
Underwater.
fight. It's a very weird
I
fight.
will say, now. Honestly, if this would have been told to me anytime before, I don't know if I would have considered it. But like, maybe Buggy could have beat everyone in East Blue.
Probably. If
Cause
if he
like,
really tries, then yeah.
well,
But
I think
this
he
is
beat
like
Kuro.
Kuro has like slashing attacks, so he's not doing anything to Buggy. Arlong's attacks are his nose and his mouth for the most part, so those aren't gonna really do anything to Buggy, and I'm not sure he's gonna be able to get him so easily with
He's just going to separate.
And
Like,
then
why did he
Don
hit?
Krieg. Don Krieg actually might stand a chance.
maybe
He doesn't really use any sharp attacks, and he also
Assuming-
has the gas.
assuming the ship doesn't just get muggy balled, but
True. If we're allowing any sort of weapon, you might as well.
Well, I was also going to say, I mean, Buggy's head could just float above the poison gas. I mean, maybe not the rest of his crew could, but he could.
That depends on how big of a cloud the poison gas creates. Because Buggy does have a limit on how far he can separate his limbs.
yeah.
Okay. Could he just separate himself and have all of his limbs float above the poison glass or something? Like, because he's in the same vicinity as
Not
himself.
his feet, but yeah,
Not his
everything
Yeah.
else. But yeah,
Okay.
not his feet.
Yeah. Like he's limited by his feet, pretty much.
This would be
just toss his
it'd
feet
be
in the air.
crazy if Buggy wasn't limited by his feet.
Well, can he pick up his feet with his hands? And if he separates, can he pick up his feet with his hands and then levitate?
I don't know because I think it's
Uh,
interesting because usually he has to like walk. I don't know. Maybe they don't explain how his powers work well enough. I don't think.
yeah, I don't think I've ever thought about that. I don't know if he could. I think we've seen him pick up his feet before to fall or something. Oh wait,
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, Buggy's definitely gonna come back, so they'll probably explain. Maybe Yoda will do something with it then.
We'll see more.
Yeah.
And see
Hopefully,
what
an explanation.
Buggy's what's it called? Time skip power up is.
I mean, in all fairness, if you've seen the way his crew looks, I don't think he got his power up. I think he's probably the same old Buggy.
That's fun.
Yeah, since villains have actually gotten weaker because Don Krieg, right? Actually, no, Kato is not as strong as Buggy. I don't think. Don Krieg gave me some trouble. I don't think he's stronger than Buggy, and I don't think Arlong is stronger than Buggy. So, I think,
you don't think he's stronger than who?
Arlong is stronger than Buggy, but I don't think if the two fought, like I don't know because like the way Luffy fought Buggy, it's like it was easier to get rid of Buggy than it was to get rid of Arlong, but still,
and like the thing is,
what's up?
You cut out there, pal.
Opa, yeah, you cut out.
Captain, do you read?
Yeah. By the way, Striker, did you like the swag walk or whatever they did? You know, like was it like all the Straw Huts were like lined up, so it was Luffy, Sanji, Usopp, and Zoro, and they're walking over to like the Arlong Park.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember because like in the anime, because they do it more than once, but it's just like the Straw Hat walk where this stuff has gotten extremely serious because the whole crew is like lined up and walking towards the enemy base.
Got the game faces on. They're about to.
Yeah, hey, you're back. You're back online.
Oh, did you guys hear what I said?
No,
No.
you said you're gonna make a point, then you immediately cut out.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't think Don Krieg. I don't think Don Krieg or Arlong are weaker than Buggy. I think they're both significantly stronger, and I'd even say Kuro is faster than Buggy.
Yeah.
It's just that Buggy has his devil fruit.
Yeah, and in terms of like if they were to fight, yes, Buggy could probably come out the winner, but like I don't know if necessarily this one's stronger than the other because I think for the majority of it, like even going into the future, I'm pretty sure Luffy could take out Buggy faster than he could take out any of the other three to a certain degree. I
Yeah,
mean, like depending
probably.
how far in the future we go, of course, but
Time skip. I assume
I
Buggy's got
mean,
no chance.
I would
well,
say
not
also
even
like
then.
Arlong took the most hits.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. And if you take away Don Krieg's armor and his battle spear, he's really lacking compared to the rest.
I don't know if you take away this what's his name,
Zoro's.
Kuro's knives, and like he doesn't really have much. I mean, he's fast still, but
Yeah.
Jeez, we can
Well,
just
I
take
mean,
away Zoro's sword.
Zoro with his bare hands has beaten people in the series.
yeah, and Zoro can he can still do some of his sword techniques with just his hands.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
strange
So
looking, but it still works.
I guess Zoro's the exception. He's still a bit formidable, but like even if you give Don Krieg the battle spear, I don't think without the armor, I don't think he would have stood much of a chance against Luffy.
Yeah.
Mhm. I will say though, he had a really good strength feat when he just lifted up that boat with like one hand.
Wait, who?
Don Krieg.
Oh, Don. You got
Like the two chefs, I think Carne and Hachi maybe was his name.
you. Mm-hmm.
Or like they had like this little boat that was the fish head of the Baratie, and he just stopped it with one hand and then lifted it up and threw it at the
Yeah, I
Baratie.
remember that. Actually, that little fish boat was actually really cool. They had it was like a little, boat fighter that they detached from the main ship. I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like yeah. So you do think Arlong Park is better than all the previous arcs, right?
Yes,
Okay.
It has
Are
no
you still
theme
excited
though.
for more One Piece?
I am. I look forward to the next island we journey to. I guess that's Rogue Town. So
I
Also,
will
how
say the next.
like just with Don Krieg again, because I know Mihawk definitely played the most significant role in tearing down the ship, but I think they were also talking about how like the weather and everything just kind of battered them apart. And I'm just like, did they not have a
I think.
navigator?
I mean, in all fairness, I don't think any navigators are actually as good as like Nami per se. I don't think they're predicting storms like she is.
Yeah,
But like, whatchamacallit? I think they only got into those storms after Mihawk did what he did to them, though. So
yeah, he was the most contributing factor there.
I will say I do like how they compare what he did to essentially a natural disaster, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I
those
just found
sword
that
swings are
very
kind
fitting.
of crazy.
Yeah. But whatchamacallit? Oh, that's what I was saying. The next chapters are actually going to be 96 to 129. Within those chapters, we're going to stop at 1, 2, 3 islands and another kind of island. You see when we get there, but it's 2 short arcs. Well, actually, 3 short arcs and 1 longer arc. Essentially going to the end of Little Garden.
Little Garden. Okay. So you said 96 to 122. That's what it was.
129.
129. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good stretch right there.
I guess we'll set sail to Rogue Town for next week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
And
you'll see
yeah.
all the fun stuff. All right, cool.
All right.
Okay.
Striker signing out. Navigator Van.
Yeah, I'm gone. Don't worry about me.
And Captain
Okay.
Oka. Yeah. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.